Let's go back to the phone lines. Talk to Jonathan in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. CJCA. So we're going from one part of Canada to the other. Hi, Jonathan.
Hi, Hank. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Thank you very much for taking my call. And I know you've been talking about the LGBT situation that is happening right now, and I happen to think about a situation that happened to me a while ago when I was at work. I had this coworker that I didn't know by then that he was transgender, or I don't know like how he considered himself. But there was a TV at work, and there was a show about people who were being born with the two characteristical, like male and female parts. So, and I said to him, well, I believe that God made man and woman, right? So I don't believe that a man is born homosexual or like a woman is born lesbian. But that's what I just said at that moment. Then he said, well, how can you explain my situation? He asked me, right? And I was like, what's your situation? And I said, I was born like with both parts, right, male and female parts. And I was speechless. I didn't know how to answer to that. And I just said, well, I got to stick to what I believe. I believe man is born a man and woman is born a woman. And, well, I didn't have an answer back then, and I don't think I still have an answer. So what would be the proper or like the most prudent answer to give in that situation, if you can help me out there?
Well, I think you got part of it right. I mean, God created male and female. That's absolutely an inviolate truth, so good for you. But it's also important to point out that we live in a fallen world, and as a result of living in a fallen world, there are people that are born with congenital blindness. There are people that are born with all kinds of maladies or potentials for those maladies. We live in a world gone berserk as a result of sin. And we have, as a result of that, not only problems within the human being, but also problems within the universe in which the human being resides. So let's think about this for a moment. Intersex, and this is really what your friend was talking about, or sometimes the word is used hermaphrodite. Intersex or hermaphrodite refers to a very rare condition. And I think it's worth noting that this is an extremely rare condition, but yet a condition of individuals who are, as indicated by your friend, born with both male and female reproductive organs and sex glands, and in even rarer cases, I mean, this really gets rare, both XX and XY chromosomes. So what happens? There's a medical treatment for this disorder, and it can involve the surgical and the hormonal assignment of gender, which ideally ought to be made on the basis of every relevant factor. In other words, those that are making this assignment should take into consideration a wide variety of issues that are involved here. This involves chromosomal issues, neurological issues, psychological issues, behavioral issues, and much, much more. So again, these are the kinds of things that happen in a fallen world. In the particular case that we're talking about, it is very, very rare, but as your friend has indicated, it is not non-existent. So what happens in this case is you have to take every single factor that you can into consideration, and then be involved as a doctor in assigning a sex to that particular individual.
All right. Yeah, I understand what we're saying there. What I want to add is just he was male looking, when you first met him, but he told me that his father was the one that made a mistake to choose the male part because he said that he felt like a woman the whole life. and then he said he chose the wrong. He made the wrong decision. And I was speechless all that time because I didn't know what to say. It was like, so in that situation, what would you do, or what would you say if that happens again? Because
well, again, I'd say exactly what I just mentioned. I mean, this is an extremely rare situation, and then in the cases of this extremely rare situation, there's a medical treatment of the disorder, just as there are medical treatments of other disorders, and those medical treatments need to be made advisedly. But here again, you have an issue that your friend is discussing as though gender is not tied to biology. It is tied to biology. And the idea today is that gender is not tied to biology. It's removed from biology. It's now a function of feeling. And I mentioned this on yesterday's broadcast. You have young kids, kids that are 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, that are now listening to a narrative. In fact, that narrative is almost being foisted upon them. And so they're making decisions. Wow, I really don't feel like a boy. I feel a little more like a girl. These kinds of decisions are regretted so often later on in life. Unfortunately, later on in life, oftentimes there have been already decisions made previously in life that now affect you later on. And that's where the danger lies. So if you're 6 or 7 or 8, you listen to the narrative, your parents help you make a decision. And now you have reassignment taking place on the basis of hormones or surgical procedures. And then later on in life, you regret it. And as a result of regretting it, sometimes you take your own life. I mean, the cases of suicide directly related to this issue are not insignificant. So I think that rather than have this huge social engineering project, we ought to go back to basics and recognize that we live in a fallen world and that we can't take an extremely rare situation and try to make that the norm by which we set all standards. This is simply wrong-headed, and it's dangerous. And you think about a narrative like this. I mean, this is not a narrative that has been around for very long. This is a brand new narrative. Now, the fact that it's new doesn't mean it's not true. But it's a relatively new narrative, and therefore we ought to examine it closely rather than lockstep walking over the edge of the cliff, which is precisely what people are doing. And it's a scary situation.